Scottish town of Dunblane is in mourning tonight after 16 young children and their teacher were shot dead at their primary school. They were gathering for a gym lesson at 9:30 this morning when a gunman burst in and began firing. All the children were aged 5 or 6.
In the wake of Dunblane and Hungerford, it is clear that only the strictest firearms laws can provide maximum safety.
I'm just getting treated like a god, and that's how it was. I go nightclub, I don't pay to go to nowhere.
I will protect you. Even God can't stop me.
I don't know why he pulled that trigger. There was no need to do any of this.
We live in a world that essentially chooses to have a blind eye about the things that take place in our society.
Dean, you're going to be the gunman. Daryl, you're going to be the victim.
Back in 2004, England played a football game against France in the European Championships. And England were 1-0 ahead. I think it was Frank Lampard scored from a header from a free kick. At 90 minutes, England were winning 1-0. When the final whistle blew, we'd lost 2-1. France had not only equalised, but they scored the winning goal in about 4 minutes. Went home, went to bed, woke up the next morning, and I immediately realised that I'd not only gone to bed thinking about the football, well, the last 4 minutes, dreamt about it and woke up thinking about it, that it was the first night in quite a few years that I hadn't gone to bed thinking, dreaming and waking up about a murder. The first gun-enabled injury that I dealt with would have been in the middle of 2000, where a lad got shot in the leg, which was clearly a punishment shooting. And several years later, I actually dealt with his murder in West Bromwich. That was unusual to have met angry dad in 2000, because his son's been shot in the leg, to an even angrier man several years later, where the same son has been shot dead. I remember his dad saying to me, "If you don't get it right, I will sue you." And equally, I had one father say to me once, "I know who killed my son," but he said, "I can't tell you." And he said, "I'm not being awkward, and I don't want to be uncooperative, but I cannot tell you who killed my son. You're going to have to work that one out. I won't lie to you, but I'm not the person that's going to tell you." So the turning point for me was the murder. When we sent away the cartridge casings, they came back and told us about other incidents where that firearm had been discharged. I'd read every statement, every report, every message, and eventually we got to a point where we identified a series of 10 guns. That's when we really started to unpick the pattern and realise that those guns were being recirculated. One gun stood out. It was used significantly more than any other. And that was gun number 6.
Hello, Merry Christmas. What a wonderful sight bursting in around me.
Craig was born in 1979. He never woke up in the night for a feed. It was amazing, whereas his brother made up for it. But no, they were lovely boys, beautiful boys, still are.
Merry Christmas!
Coming up. Certainly picked up a bit since we've been here already. We've been here a couple of months, well, 3 months I think it is. This is obviously the post office.
We used to open about 7 o'clock in the morning, so it would give me about a quarter of an hour to do all the papers and stuff like that. And, God, the papers was hundreds of bloody things.
I said to him, I've got to go and nip upstairs and sort bits and pieces out. And it's, to this day, I bitterly regret the fact that I didn't look out the window, because I would have seen them getting out of the car.
They came in, one of them had a big old sledgehammer. The other one had a gun, which I didn't really believe was a real one. There was a young girl in there. She saw them come in and she absolutely screamed the place down.
And I think Craig had heard it because his bedroom was above the shop. So we both ran along the hallway.
I think it was the shortest one. He said, open the post office. Open a safe and God knows where else. I say, you might get in there, I think I said, but you can't get in the safe because it's on the time switch.
So we eventually got down the stairs and Craig was behind me, and bless him, he only had his boxer shorts on. And he tapped me on the shoulder and he pulled me back. And he leant over and he picked up the cricket bat.
Craig, he was shot, and he said they got me, all right? I heard the cricket bat drop on the floor. I went round and picked it up. The middle one, he grabbed hold of the gunman and pulled him round the corner, and he shot me in the leg. Well, it bloody hurt. It hit my bone right on my knee. They obviously wanted to do me more harm, so they grabbed all these metal shelves, threw those onto me, and then they proceeded to jump up and down on the shelves, which I was obviously stuck underneath, and they did that for quite a few times. I knew my boy was injured, so I pulled back. I pulled back behind the shelves. You know, I went back on my my bum and one leg really, pushed myself along. I went around the corner and I saw my boy laying on the floor in a great big pool of blood. And, well, I went over, I touched him. Yeah, I knew he was dead.
Hello, Merry Christmas. What a wonderful sight bursting in around him.
Is it painful seeing pictures of him?
Yeah. It is, yeah, for me.
I often think, why would somebody think it's perfectly normal to pick up a gun? And that question needs to be answered somewhere.
When a gun fires a bullet, it leaves unique markings on the casing. It's like a fingerprint. It's unique to the gun. And what the investigation found, that the gun that was used in the murder at the post office had previously been used in 10 other shootings. So the history of gun number 6 starts on the streets of Birmingham at about 3 o'clock in the morning when shots are fired. From about 2000 onwards, we had started to see an escalation in gun-enabled homicides.
Charlene Ellis and Letitia Shakespeare were killed as they stood outside a party in the Aston area of Birmingham by a hail of bullets from a passing car.
And we've got a community that won't talk to us because they're frightened. So when we look at the first shooting, we've got no known witnesses. There is no scientific material other than the bullet casings. There is no CCTV. There is no telephone evidence. And more importantly, nobody is coming forward to say, in the early hours of this morning, somebody tried to shoot me. The only person who actually knows what happened and why is the person who pulled the trigger.
Having a gun on you with you affects all your reactions to things. It affects all your normal, you'd think you're behaving completely normal, but none of it is because everything's at a heightened state. Is that, like if I walk into a room, like if there's a gun, for example, like that, I kind of have to walk out because we're gonna start bonding. Once I pulled away from all of that, it's when I realized that the gun was speaking to me. I could actually hear it speak.
Yes, baby, come here, hold me. Squeeze me.
It becomes the attractive option.
Yeah, so we just...
Meant to be.
My name's Leroy Smith, and I'm originally from South London, and I served 20 years out of a 25-year sentence for shooting 2 police officers in South London. My real motivation behind taking part in this is because I do a lot of work with young people in youth centres and schools and colleges.
My name's Darren. I'm a rehabilitated ex-offender. Spent many years in jail, and now I work with kids and vulnerable adults. I was arrested with 500 bullets, and it's mostly the best thing that ever happened to me, because if them bullets would have got back to Manchester, 500 bullets, there would have definitely been deaths. It's adrenaline, isn't it? Yeah, I've been charged with numerous violent offences, namely conspiracy to murder, attempted murder, possession of firearms with intent to endanger life, possession of ammunition.
What was it like to be charged with attempted murder?
Just another day at the office.
Okay, so this is the second shooting. It was a gang walking through a parade of shops. One of the guys had a gun. They walked around this parade of shops, asked about a rival gang, got in a car, chased after another car, and there was shots fired while they were sort of chasing each other. So, Dean, I was going to pick you to be the shooter today.
My experience, I would think it's like the hunting mindset. Yeah. I can only assume something had happened to the other individuals, and this was sort of like a play, a retaliation play. When you're living that type of lifestyle, like the police, it's the least of your worries. You're not particularly thinking about the police, because the idea is that you're okay with the consequences of your actions.
And if the other side's real, like, it's not going to go to police because no one's going to inform or call any police, so it's internal.
I couldn't really go out unless I had my gun, because if I went out without my gun, I'd be caught slipping and they'd come and get me. Just a case of having my protection around me. My immediate family or my friends were around me. This gun was loyal. It was always there for me when I needed it. And made me money, made people respect me.
Outside, it was like you had to be strong. Like, the weak didn't make it. I saw the weak get treated. You know, I've seen people get pissed on and all different types of things. The people that seemed to have the better lives was the most violent ones, or the ones that, so these are the things that the doctrine I was seeing from when I was younger. I was like, okay, so basically, I've just got to be more violent than him then, along the line somewhere, to have a better life.
back in the day, the police used to just kind of like leave it. They didn't investigate everything. Do you know what I mean? And witnesses wouldn't make statements or go to court. And if they did, they'd do a deal with the other gang to drop charges and so on. You know, tick for tat in that way as well. The wall of silence, it's a code on the street. If you get shot, you don't tell the police who shot you. You don't make a statement, you just retaliate or get somebody else to retaliate or just leave it. Do you know? I was shot on 3 different occasions. I never made a statement against anybody who shot me.
The third shooting is clearly a case of attempted murder. A man is shot 5 or 6 times in the back, in the arm, in the hands. He says, mistaken identity. Do we believe him? No, we don't. The house where he was, what have they done? They've tried to hide the evidence by washing down the blood with bleach. You know, there is an attempt to cover up, even though somebody should have died as a result of this shooting. And the person who should have died, he won't even cooperate with us. We have very little information to go on. We've got bullet casings. That's really it. But what we do know is that each shooting is linked to the same 9mm automatic handgun.
Gun number 6 is quite a rare gun. This one here is similar to it. So this is the CZ75 pistol, made in Czechoslovakia from 1975 onwards, the present day. All solid steel construction, very well made, very accurate. It's very unusual to find a weapon like this in criminal hands, simply because of the difficulties involved in getting hold of them. This is a typical 9mm round. Magazine will hold a large number of these. Magazine fits into the base of the weapon, which then allows the slide to pick it up on the forward stroke, pushing it into the chamber, simultaneously cocking the hammer, ready for it to be fired. When the round goes off, it recoils, drives the mechanism back, and the whole operation continues and repeats. The 9mm Parabellum as a calibre was designed primarily for military use. It's a penetrating round above all else, which are designed to increase the rate at which the energy is dumped into the target, causing an increased rate of tissue damage. But effectively, pistol bullets all work by hemorrhagic effect. It's a question of rupturing as much body tissue, preferably critical body tissue, as possible. A weapon like this on the streets is a worrying thing to us.
So this is the 4th shooting, and it's a car that drives up to a club, and they shoot into the club. One of the guys gets shot with his leg. The guy, in fact, went home first before he called the ambulance. So it's another one of these cases where we don't really have any kind of information.
The gun came part of my life very young, obviously because we were selling narcotics, and it was a form of protection against people that might want to try and do me harm. It didn't start out as a gang thing first, it was a group of friends, and then we started to become money motivated. Class A drugs was on the scene throughout the years, There was tit-for-tat shootings, and it went on for 30 years.
You're gonna have to try to get out of the way of more shots. So if you're coming out the door, you're gonna have to try and crawl back inside. My girlfriend got shot when I got shot.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, not my girlfriend. We was going on a first date, and it went with a bang.
What happened?
I got shot 20-odd times, and she got shot in it. I threw her on the floor and lay on top of her. She got shot in her hand and her chest. But to be honest, if I was in my right mind and knew what I was doing, I would have lay on the floor and pulled her on top of me.
But you didn't, though, did you?
Nah.
Your instinct was to save her, so you must be happy about that.
Nah, because we didn't go on another date.
You surprised?
Yeah, I'm a good-looking lad.
This is just the beginning of something new. That's why it never ends. It just keeps going round and round. This is another story now.
Where I'd like to start is to think about your life before a gun came into your life. So I'm going to take you back to childhood. How old are we?
12.
12.
What was that chair supposed to be?
That's the person who wasn't there.
Oh, that's Dad. Yeah. It's my dad.
Your dad?
Yeah.
Okay. What about you, Doug? Dean, your brothers? Things were difficult for you, weren't they?
It was difficult for me. Obviously, Dean's a lot younger than me, and my dad used to beat my mum up when he was drunk, and it come to the stage where one day my mum had enough, and my mum went and got a kitchen knife and stabbed him a few times. So I was going on the estate, kind of like, to try escape the screams and things like that. But for me to say that made me the person I am, I'd be wrong because I knew right from wrong. So I chose to do what I did.
At the age of 8, I came to England. I was living with a friend of my mum. I believed at the time that I was going to eventually move in with my mum, which never happened. And yes, I was kind of left to stay with this person.
And where was your dad?
He had another family with other children, and for some reason, I'm not sure exactly why, I wasn't part of that unit. And it's a decision that obviously he made. Grew up feeling like I never had a mum or a dad. I was desperate, like I needed love. I didn't care about being dead or alive because I just thought, well, my parents don't care, so if I died tomorrow, nobody would care, so it wouldn't matter. go on.
Older ones take you under their wing. You feel like you're part of that. You think, yeah, I must be more respected than the rest of them, the rest of my guys, because they've took me on. They must see me as the serious one or whatnot. Do you know what I mean? The one that, yeah, that's probably like, so yeah.
So it made you feel special then to be with someone like that who had a gun?
Of course, because like I said, you're a child, you're impressionable.
I was homeless about 13, 14. I actually got kicked out. Like, okay, everybody forgot about me. They threw me away thinking I'm not, watch, I'm gonna show you lot. And it was just wrapped up, okay, I'm gonna make loads of money and make something of myself. But it was always about making something of myself. I just didn't know how to do it.
And where did the gun fit into that?
After I got shot. After I got shot, it was like, and then you see your friends die at the same age as you. It's like, oh, nah, that's not gonna happen again.
It was a thankless task, chasing shadows. And by that I mean responding to incidents after they've happened. Gun 6 is very unpredictable. We're dealing with immature, vulnerable, chaotic young men. It was inevitable that eventually somebody was going to lose their life.
All the people who are likely to be candidates to be gunmen, they are underprivileged people, people who are on the wrong track, not through any real reason of their own, just because society is stacked that way. And therefore, they would have a gang or be in a gang because it makes more sense because they're getting some fake love, but at least it's something. It's fake, but it's more love than anyone else is giving them.
I look back now and I struggle to connect with myself then. Like, in terms of how lost I was. As a grown adult, I'm still affected by it. I'm still like, I can't help myself but get angry when I talk about it. That's how it is, isn't it? So.
We live in a world that essentially chooses to have a blind eye about the things that take place in our society. Essentially, the only time that we think about these issues, we think about it's close to home, is when it's on your front doorstep. And we have to be realistic about that. Oftentimes, when we hear about gun or knife crime or any type of violence within our community, a lot of people kind of pull it to one corner because it doesn't affect them. But essentially, it does, because violence is something that impacts all communities. We don't look at the trauma. So for a young man that may be growing up in a community that hears and sees violence every single day, that's bound to have a detrimental impact in the way that they see things, in the way that they see the world. Growing up in a society, I was always told, be mindful of the police. At night time, be mindful of the police, because they'll strangle you and they'll kill you. And I always thought that's a bit extreme. But these were things that I used to read about and I used to hear about from the family. Let's think about paranoia. A young man that looks like me, that has attacked you. I've robbed you. I've took everything out of your household. You're living with that particular trauma in your household now, thinking, you know what? Everybody that looks like this black man, yeah, are the same, because you've had no other information that shows you anything different. So do you think that if you used to see someone that looks like me again, that you're going to be functioning the exact same way? Possibly not, and that's the way that the brain works. So when we're talking about young people that are involved in violence and gun crime, we have to start looking at it a little bit different. We can't negate poverty. We can't negate lack of opportunity. Because if we don't engage the problem and we just lock them up and we just disassociate ourselves with those individuals, it might come to your doorstep.
Back then, everybody wanted to be the man. Nobody wanted to show weakness. Nobody wanted to admit that there was mental health issues creeping in.
It's just bad behaviour from start to finish, and it turns you into a nasty, horrible person, because you're always right, and no one could always be right. And people love you because they're scared of you. That's not love. You understand?
So what I'd like to do now, I'd like you to think about a memory, like a sort of scene or a moment that still sticks with you before you actually picked up the gun. So if we made this scene, if we were to take a still photograph of this scene, there would be your friend dead.
Yeah.
Do you mind lying on the floor? I hope it's clean.
So do I.
Yeah. Don't know whether I've got any...
Back or front or back? Head that way. Yeah. Now.
Okay.
Back, legs like that.
Who else is in the scene, Carol?
There's some shop assistants. It was in a bakery.
Okay, so this is in a bakery. Yeah. He's on the bakery floor.
Yeah.
And there's some horrified shop assistants?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah? All right. And... It's okay. What's going on for you? Huh?
We've seen our friends killed, it's not.
You've seen your friends killed, yeah. Yeah. You remember it, huh? Okay.
She's very quiet, but she notices everything. It's like, even when she was little, I could change a photo in a frame. And I had one, it was a tiny little picture frame, which I'd swapped her photo in. And her dad brought it back, and she noticed straight away, no one else did. That's Ishfaq, and that's Anissa. She was about 17 months there. 16, 17 months. Just love that photo. I can remember him dropping me and Anissa off. I come up the stairs, looked out the window, and whereas before he'd just speed off. And he wasn't, and he was sat there, and I can remember coming in, and my home phone was ringing, and it was my friend Melanie on the phone, and I actually said to her, he's looked at us like he's never going to see us again. I just had this horrible feeling. And she was like, oh, don't be stupid. And then I thought nothing of it, phoned him up in the evening, and it was a cold night. So I told him to wrap up and everything, and that was the last time I spoke to him.
Do you know whether or not you've just killed?
No.
No, we've just shot him.
We don't know.
Like
Until we look the teletext or the news the next day. Or we hear it from word of mouth on the street.
Do you not send someone back to find out?
Why?
I don't know.
What's the point? You can't... This is what I believe, yeah? These things talk to you. You cannot have this in your possession, even a normal person, just being aware of the power it has, go somewhere and be rational with any kind of reasoning. It's impossible. So if you're coming off a cancer estate and from a background where you feel like you're weak, and then you pick up one of these, no to you, he just said no, but what you've heard is you're worthless, you mean nothing, you're not important. And it's the stages, remember, like when you're on the streets, you're on a stage, so everybody's watching along. So that kind of incident there, one thing like that, the audience is like, oh, he's not actually the real deal. That just brings other things. So weakness is not, under no circumstances in that world would you allow yourself to be perceived as being a weak person.
I woke up to get Anissa a bottle, and he wasn't there. And I thought, oh, okay. And then within 5 minutes, my phone was ringing, and that was when his dad phoned me to tell me what had happened. It was the fact that he wouldn't see Anissa grow up, because all the things he wanted to do, her first day at school, taking her, you know, and it's hard. Because I can remember him saying He wanted to pick her up. He was going to get this BMW so the kids could see her getting in this posh car and everything. It's all gone. All because of one bullet. She obviously has no memory of anything, being 18 months. I think she's quite sentimental when it comes to her dad. Like, we'll talk about stuff, but that side of it, I think it's because she doesn't understand anything, and plus when he died, obviously, oh, it's Ishfaq's daughter and everyone was grabbing her. She didn't understand what was going on and she went a bit within herself. And she doesn't say much. She gets emotional over it. She misses having her dad. No, because they both missed out, really.
$30 years each for the gang of 6 who shot dead a nightclub doorman. He was killed simply because he refused them entry.
The investigation into the murder of Ishfaq Ahmed was a tremendous piece of policing work. It involved detectives from the then Murder Investigation Unit working with the local police and the local community to bring 6 notorious criminals from the Johnson crew to justice. However, we didn't recover gun 6.
In my life, seen trouble, hustle on the double, silence on the trigger like my pick got a muzzle. I only love this paper, that boy stay in trouble.
Hello. Where are you? Coco, man wanted one of them, you know. I'm gonna link Niz now. Alright, sir. We're trapped in the hood, innit? Just how you live in it. That everyone's in a race, watching each other. It's a competition. It's like you got opponents. So when you got people who are trying to beat you and things, you just gotta watch your back because people get jealous out here, innit? That's what things people do when they can't win, really. Jealousy.
And you just want to get out and just leave this behind.
Yeah, everyone does. If people told you that they don't want to do that, then they'll be lying. I'll tell you that now. Everyone wants to live the better life, but I'm stuck here for now, innit? I'm still living, though. Oh, that's me there. My dad was a happy person. Liked fashion, liked to dress well. As soon as he smiled, it's like he gleamed up the whole of the room. It's like it was a light his smile was. 5 years old, my dad started taking me football, got into a team and that. Started taking it more serious when my dad died. Then, I don't know, just stop playing in it. As you get older, you realise that the dreams that you want to have ain't always going to come true, really. It's sad, but what happens, happens, innit?
That's the tag?
Yeah, that's it. Obviously, it was better than jail, innit? Obviously. Obviously, I'm still angry because it stops me from hustling. Working, innit? Obviously. The police are only there to make you have less money. I'm not angry because what's meant to be, meant to be. Everyone has a different lifestyle, innit? My lifestyle's obviously different to others, so what's meant to be, but they can't keep me on it forever, so obviously, you know. You won't see me show it, but the emotions are still there. I think about that every day. Don't get me wrong.
You think about your dad every day?
Yeah, of course. Of course I think about this every day because if not, my life will be different. Am I right or wrong? You get me? So, really, yeah.
Okay, so this is the second murder, Andrew Huntley. And what we know is that he was killed here, under this bridge. Dean, you're going to be the shooter. David, you're going to be the victim. What we know is that they ended up underneath this bridge with Andrew on his knees pleading for his life before he was killed. And so we're going to recreate that element of it.
Yeah, this could be a revenge attack, or he's in my crack house or my trap house, he's making more money than me and I'm hating on him, one or the other. But there's definitely a reason behind it.
Have you ever taken revenge?
Have I ever taken revenge? I've taken revenge, yeah. Someone taking the piss, or somebody not giving me what I want, and I've got a gun, I've got the power to take what I want. And I take what I want.
Have you ever wanted to kill someone?
Yeah, I wanted to. Wanted to kill loads of people, but I've not. Obviously, where my friends and that have been killed, I want to go out and kill whoever's killed my friend. And if I can't get him, I'll get the closest thing to him, which will be his man name, his friends. The last resort will be going to his house and getting a loved one or somebody close to him. If I can't get to him, I'm going to get to somebody close to him, and that'll bring him out. And get him that way.
My dad got shot over some drugs or something like that, so they said. They will never know, and we will never literally know what it's for. Only the murderer will know, and my dad would really know what it was for. Obviously, I wanted revenge and retaliation like any other person would have. But obviously, what happens in life happens, fam. That's how God makes it, innit?
He doesn't look like a murderer, does he?
No, no. But what does look like a murderer? I was 19 when I first met Ansel. It wasn't love at first sight, it was... I fancied Anselm. Anselm was 18. Quiet, shy, quite reserved and unsure. Because I didn't really have the guidance of my parents, I was always trying to make my own mind up on things and looking for little signs, and the signs were, OK, he's not violent, so that's good, you know. He cares about his mum, so that's good. But I was just happy to have this person in my life. He moved in with me very, very quickly, and then A few months later, that's when I found out I was pregnant. During that pregnancy, Anselm had been arrested and charged with a burglary and was sent to prison for a very, very short time. It was just a few weeks. And I remember him coming out of prison with more knowledge of crime than he had going in. And I just thought that was crazy. As soon as Joshua appeared into the world, I remember thinking, he is the double of Anselm. And it was a happy time. Very quickly, though, it was changing, and it did change, you know. When Josh was a few months old, he got arrested again for burglary. And I said to him, listen, this isn't really what I want from a relationship. I need you. But Anselm's need to lead that life was far greater at that point than it was to, you know, be with myself. So he made the choice to continue, and so I left him, and the relationship was over. And then it escalated. The first I knew to what degree it escalated is when he got arrested and charged with an armed robbery when Josh was about 5 years old, and it was quite a lengthy sentence, and that's when I found out what he'd done. But it took probably about 2 years into the sentence that I found out it was armed robbery. I was told it was a warehouse theft. So even at that point, I didn't realise the road he was going down was so serious.
He protected us, but we couldn't do the same for him. That is the difficult bit, yeah.
I just believe you stopped evil that day.
I remember really clearly, my mum phoned me to say Anselm had been arrested. And I remember just crying because my priority at that point was Josh. And I remember thinking, where is he? I need to get him because I don't want the press or it to be on the news. So I found Josh. He was ice skating and I brought him home. And I said, your dad has been arrested. And he said, for what? You know, and he was quite, you could see he was quite defensive, as if like, what? And then when I said the words murder, Josh just demolished the front room. He smashed everything up. He was crying, he was angry. And then the nightmare began. He was devastated. His dad was the scum of the earth, as was quoted in the newspaper. His dad was a murderer. His dad had destroyed a young man's life. The police were stopping and searching him, but saying things like, "Where's your dad, Josh?" So then he'd erupt. You know, he went through a really difficult time and he just kept getting in trouble. And then eventually, you know, you're talking when he was 15, 16, the clouds did clear. And he was okay. All that hard work, and he could stand there and his heart and soul were pure. And music was the thing that he loved and enjoyed, and very, very quickly he put his heart and soul into that. Shows around the UK, flying out to Europe, wrote an album, the album went to #1. And then he got his money from his first album, bought my mum flowers, was planning to go out on the Saturday shopping for his sister. Left me here on the evening. His last words to me were, "I love you, Mum." A hug, a kiss, and I'll see you later. And then during the evening, an incident happened and Josh was stabbed once in the heart. And just over 7 hours later, passed away. And yeah, that was that. They contacted the prison and they said that Ansam would be told. He would be told by a priest and by the governor. I had to just kind of let that go. I felt pain for Ansam. I felt that real sorrow that Ansam would be told he'd lost one of the only positive things in his life.
Like, I could have killed someone. I could have easily killed someone.
I would have been a cop killer. Basically, that's the truth. And I'm lucky. I'm lucky that I survived my sentence. I'm lucky in a lot of ways. And
you're lucky that the bullet didn't kill him.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm lucky that the bullet didn't kill him.
When you pick up a gun, the problem might be this small. But you see, like, when you shoot a gun and cause tragic events, what's left behind, people still have to deal with this big ball that they never created. And then one person's probably dead, and one person's in jail doing life, and then there's families, and there's this big ball, and they all got to manage it and hold it, and they never created that ball. That part is unfair. So everyone loses at the end. And it's just sad.
It don't get any easier. That's a definite.
Really?
No, it don't get easier.
Even with time?
Not yet. No. Well, it hasn't been that long, really. It's been, what's it been, 7, 8 years? Takes a long time to get over stuff, you know. Things like that never goes away.
Violence is always going on, really. It's a violent world, isn't it? All I've got to do is build my legacy now, innit? For my dad and try and make him proud, really. I don't want to be locked up for the rest of my life, and I don't want to be in a box before my time. I want to find the things to life like everybody else. I've just got to do better and know better, really. Become a better person, a better man, innit?
Like, when I look back at the 16-year-old me, like, I proper feel for him. It sounds crazy, but it's almost like, I think I go into prisons now and community centers to talk because I see it. It's a 16-year-old me that makes me go and do that. Because I know how much he needed someone to speak to him. And I suppose my only thing now I want is just to be here to see my kids grow. That's my only thing. Because I never ever thought I never thought I'd have children. I never ever thought that kind of lifestyle. If I'd have been dead a long time ago. Yeah, I did think I'd have been dead a long time ago, but... So yeah, I just wanted to make the right decision. And I'm grateful that I have things in life that I actually care about now. And I'm grateful that I actually feel loved, and I'm actually a happy person.